Good morning and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Dave and I'm honored to be of service this morning. We hope that our service finds you happy and healthy, but please know that if you're struggling in any way, we hope that Temple Buddhist Center can be a source of refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and your loved ones. Let's begin this morning with some conscious breath work, taking a few moments to ground, to experience the body, and to breathe together. Conscious breathing is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, and then pause for a moment before releasing slowly so the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Breathing in, pausing just a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, and releasing slowly. And as you release, checking in with the body, just being aware of what is present and alive in the body right now. The second conscious breath, pausing just a moment, ventilating this precious human form, and then releasing slowly. And as you release, see if you can release any worry or concerns from the week. All the energy of doing, going, striving, accomplishing. Just allow yourself a few moments to cultivate the energy of being, not doing. And a third conscious breath together. Pausing just a moment and releasing slowly. And as you release, taking time to invite into your awareness the present moment, fully arriving in the here and now. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our service with a chant. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition, and it's not about being a singer, it's about having a voice. And Victor will explain our chant today.
Thank you so much, Dave. Good morning, everyone. Our chant this morning is Om Ami Dewa Ze, Om Ami Dewa Ze. And so you might recognize the seed sound, Om, being the sound of the universe, reminding each one of us that we are a beautiful note in a grand cosmic symphony that is forever playing. And Om Ami Dewa Ze in the Buddhist tradition is a chant that enhances compassion for all beings in all places. And of course, as the Buddha said, if your compassion does not include yourself, then it is incomplete. So let's take a conscious breath together. And as we release, let us begin. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. With a smile. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Once more. Om Ami Dewa Ze.
at TBC, we practice Western Buddhism, a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. This new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic, inclusive, active, and focuses on core Buddhist insights as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical application in our daily life. Our goal here isn't to get everyone to agree on one lineage or philosophy. Rather, it's on cultivating a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting, meditating, or sharing from the heart, we respect that you'll participate only at the level that feels comfortable for you. We take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our own Buddha nature as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, allowing a new perspective of this and every precious moment. The second jewel is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and delusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And Sangha, our spiritual community, an essential part of growth where we practice the teachings together and support each other along every step of the path. Let's take a moment now to silence any electronics and prepare a meditative environment. And we will recite the prayer of refuge. We'll recite this together 3 times in honor of the 3 jewels. Together, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. As we prepare now to enter into a time of meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then I invite you to practice in a way that's fitting for you this morning. If you're new to meditation, there will be an opening dedication. We will sound the bell 3 times. There will be a brief guided meditation, and then we'll spend approximately 12 to 15 minutes in noble silence. Let's begin by breathing together with a conscious breath. Body, speech, and mind, imperfect oneness. I send my heart with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
Sound of the bell recedes. guiding us into stillness, showing us the way. If you need to take another conscious breath or two, or perhaps adjust your posture, whatever is necessary to partner with the body to find a new level of gentleness and ease. And as the breath settles in now to its natural flow, its natural rhythm, we can check once more with the body, making sure there are no points of tension, no points of contraction. The body is gentle, light, spacious, and easy. From here, we can bring our awareness now to awareness itself, noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a sound, perhaps the sounds in the room or a sound in the hallway. Noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a sensation, like an itch or a tummy rumble. And noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a thought, or perhaps even a string of thoughts. All these things, they simply come and go. They rise and they fall. Our practice is to cultivate an awareness of what is it that they rise and fall within. Our practice is to cultivate the knower, not the things that are known. And so, connected to the breath, being aware of the rise and fall of the tummy. The body is gentle and easy. The mind is clear, yet receptive to whatever may arise. And the heart is open. We can move more deeply now into our meditation. I close my eyes and I see clearly. I stop trying to listen and I hear truth. I am silent, yet my heart sings. I seek no contact and find union. I am still and move forward. I am gentle and need no strength. I am humble and remain whole, returning again and again to the breath, returning again and again home. meditative state, connected to the breath. The body is gentle and light. As you bring your awareness to the sense door of sound, noticing the sound of my voice or the sound of the air handlers in the room or any rustling in the room itself, or the sound of the sound system. And as you bring your awareness to the sense door of sound, at the same time, can you keep a small amount of your awareness on that still deep silence within? That stillness and silence that is not dependent on external circumstances. Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of touch as you begin to notice the feeling of your clothing upon your skin, or the feeling of the chair or the cushion beneath you. And as you become aware of material and matter and form, at the same time, can you keep a small amount of your awareness on that which is formless? In other words, can you be aware that you are aware? Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of sight as you slowly begin to open your eyes, not focusing hard on anything, just kind of maintaining sort of a panoramic peripheral view of the entire room. And as you become aware of shapes and forms, colors, can you also be aware of the space around these shapes, around the forms? Can you sense the space in this room? Can you sense the space around the building? And can you sense the space around our planet as we are actually orbiting around the sun at a fantastic rate? The Earth is spinning even faster, and the whole galaxy is rotating, and the galaxy itself is hurling through space. We've never been in the same space for more than an instant. And next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the breath as we take a conscious breath together. Holding for a moment and releasing slowly. And as you release, I invite you to be present in the here and the now, in this time and in this place. Thank you, Dave. All right, good morning, everyone. Well, as we already know, it's an unusual Sunday morning, what with, of course, the parking and then the water main break. For those of you that may not know, we don't have any water in the building, so I'm making sure I take tiny sips because none of the restrooms are working. So I really appreciate you guys being here today. There was some discussion about just closing the church, but I kind of, a number of us just said, if for an hour service, people can come and go, and we can rough it. Those of you who like to go camping, or so So again, I appreciate you all being here today. It's been quite a practice for myself. So the talk today, many of you might recognize the opening line. It's not exactly the opening line to Robert Frost's poem, The Road Less Traveled. The poem opens with, "Two roads diverge," and so I wanted to, the talk today is "Two roads converge." I have been very interested recently in the convergence between psychotherapy and spiritual practice. This has been very forefront on my heart, on my mind. I've had numerous discussions with members of the Sangha throughout the past couple weeks on this topic, as well as conversations with my teachers and my mentors. And in a rather unusual demonstration of how energy attracts things to us, I was just asked this week to speak at a conference in Washington, D.C. on faith and mental health. And so I'm very honored to represent our community at this conference and to have this discussion with other members of different traditions and different practices in Washington, D.C. So I'll be sure and keep everybody posted on that. Kind of like, what was the old movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? This will be kind of an exciting adventure. So today the talk focuses on this convergence of two very powerful disciplines. So I'll be sharing today from some of my own experiences, as well as drawing heavily from an article written by John Wellwood. And the title of this article was The Psychology of Awakening. And this article has impacted me very heavily, and I don't have copies of it available today. It's a little bit lengthy, so what I might do is just have a link on our website or something like that, so we're not, chewing up a lot of paper. But I'd like to make it available to the entire Sangha in some way, shape, or form. So over the years, my practice has provided me with glimpses, or what in the Buddhist tradition is called a satori, or an awakening experience. And so this spiritual realization was relatively easy compared to the more difficult task of actualization, or integrating these experiences into my daily life. I say easy because when I was first exposed to these teachings, to the Buddhist practice, I simply could not get enough. I could not get enough meditation, enough retreats, enough time with Sangha. I couldn't gather up enough books and articles. I couldn't watch enough videos. And in fact, it simply became a way of life for me. And there was very little effort, as I could not see myself involving myself in anything other than the Dharma. And so it was very easy in that respect. Actualizing, or actualization, is an ongoing process to this moment. It has proven more difficult to be in the world but not of it, as some of my teachers have often coined this phrase. So realization is the movement from personality to just being. Realization for me is kind of like playing peekaboo with the observer, or as Trungpa Rinpoche called it, the one who knows. Like in the opening, I talk about cultivating the knower, not the things that are known. That realization. But there is a way of being beyond even that, where I have experienced a flash of connection and oneness with all things. Sometimes even to this day, laughing at what we all might call synchronicities or coincidences. I know now that they are not those things, that they are what we would call examples of how everything is interconnected or inter-is. My teacher used to say, that is the way of the universe. You've never known it because you've been asleep. You've been unconscious. Everything is interconnected and inter-is, so to speak. In realization, a whole other way of understanding, of seeing that is not conceptual. It has brought about a recognition for me of the conditioned self. And now I know that there is something different because I have a contrast to compare it to. I never knew there was anything but the conditioned self, and all of my prejudices and all of my experiences and my beliefs and my coping strategies and mechanisms. I never knew there was anything different. And in just an instant, in just a single moment of realization, of being able to understand that there's a whole other way of knowing that's not conceptual. It is an insight. The whole world was laid out, and I now knew that there was another way. Just in that moment, and that was this realization. My teacher's teacher, Matthew Flickstein, used to talk about how we only know the world through contrast. We only know hot because of cold. We only know day because of night. This also applies to our spiritual experience. Once you have glimpsed another way of knowing, it is now set apart. And all of a sudden, all those belief systems start to break down. Now, this term actualization or actualizing refers to how we integrate the spiritual realization into our life situation. Through periods of intensive practice and retreat, I have tasted a certain kind of expansiveness. I sometimes use the term vastness. And I believe that spiritual work can indeed provide and open people up profoundly and help them live a life free of compulsion, of their conditioning, sometimes referred to impulse containment. Pema Chodron likes to use the term refrain. That's that reactivity, right? That there's an experience, and then there's this, all of a sudden I've got it all figured out. She's like, refrain, just be with the experience. No need to overlay it with all of your thoughts about what you think is going on, all of your stories about what might really be occurring here. And so this conditioning is a way that we're able to break free from the habituated patterns of speech and behavior. So I believe that the spiritual practice holds for us almost immeasurable opportunities to experience this openness, this vastness, this new way of seeing. And it is very, very important. However, it feels like at times, at some point in our lives, circumstances will trigger an emotional reactivity, or it will trigger my habituated patterns of speech and behavior, and suddenly it feels like spiritual practice has hardly penetrated the conditioned personality, which remains or seems to remain mostly intact, generating the same tendencies that it always has, those patterns in our lives that seem to continually come around and again. Even our situation today of having no running water in the building has brought up issues for me around controlling the experience that I want Sangha to have on Sunday mornings. All of a sudden, I can't. Even our musician today was unable to attend. Don't think that doesn't have a little knot in me right here. It's there, absolutely. But I'm aware of it. And I'm working, even right now, to not come from that place. Transcend and include. Yeah, that's just the conditioned body reacting to a situation. It doesn't have to dictate my response. I'm simply aware that it's there. So, of course, spiritual realization now has many levels. Everything from a temporary experience to a more stable attainment. I sometimes talk about how in my life the practice has helped me to replace that low, barely intelligible hum, kind of like our homes have. There's an electric hum. It's actually 60 kilohertz that's running everything, the refrigerator and the ceiling fan, and it's there, and that hum is there. But the practice for me, there's always been this low, under the radar hum of fear in my life. It's always just under the radar. And over time and with the practice, that low-level hum has been replaced with just as low-level hum of contentment. The fear has been replaced with a contentment. I sometimes refer to it as the Buddhist idea of faith. There's blind faith, but then there's this Buddhist faith that isn't conceptual. It doesn't need an object. It's just this knowing that everything's all right and everything's going to be okay. Because of impermanence, we know that whatever's happening will eventually pass. And so, even among the advanced spiritual practitioners within our community, certain unexamined complexes of personal and cultural conditioning, blind spots, areas of self-deception may often remain intact, even as they cultivate an ever-increasing awareness of those different aspects of their personality. And though this can be seen as the edge of a person's spiritual practice, you know, we're always bumping up against the edge, and it's always being presented to us. Every day we get a new opportunity to find the edge of our practice. And though that is there and it can be seen as this edge, it also points to the general difficulty of integrating our spiritual development into the entire fabric of our human embodiment. One of the reasons why Buddhism is at the same time so alluring to those of us in the West, we find it interesting and fascinating at first. The same thing that's operating there is also operating to the opposite, which is Buddhism comes from Asia 3,000 years ago. We're not hardwired for this. For example, in traditional cultures of Asia, it was a very viable option for a yogi or a yogini to pursue a spiritual development apart from worldly involvement, or to live purely as the impersonal universal without having much of a personal life whatsoever, or transforming the structures of that life. These older cultures provided a religious context that honored and supported spiritual retreat and placed little or no emphasis on individual concerns. In Asia, yogis, yoginis, sadhus, who had little personal contact with people could still be venerated members of the community at large. Now, those of us here in the West, in America, have tried to take up this model, pursuing impersonal realization while neglecting the personal life. But we have found in the end that this was a little bit like a porta potty at church. It just didn't quite fit, you know? There was something not quite right about it. Taking on the challenges of fully engaged personal life, finding right livelihood in a complex materialistic world, being involved in committed intimate relationship, dealing with the social and political concerns facing us at every turn, inevitably brings up unresolved psychological issues for us. We're working with a modality that, well, honestly, could maybe even be attributed to this as the first generation in the West to ever deal with this modality. Buddhism only came to the West maybe 50, 60 years ago. So we are the first in the West to try to incorporate these modalities, these spiritual practices, these concepts, these ideas of Buddhism, and it's difficult because we're not hardwired for it. And so for this reason, Western seekers may also need the help of psychological methods to help them more fully integrate the spiritual practice and realization into their lives. What I'm pointing at today is that though these two roads seem to be separate and different, it is an amazing event that right here in the West, on this day, within each one of us, they converge. We are not new to psychology. Here in the West, psychology is practiced extensively. Robert Brummett was making a joke with me the other day. He's like, here in the West, if you want to become a mindfulness and meditation practitioner or teacher, you have to get a degree in psychology, in psychotherapy. If you take that degree in psychology and psychotherapy to Asia and say you want to be a meditation teacher, they'll laugh at you. It's not how it works. So these roads converge here, now, with us. This is an exciting time to be a practitioner here in the West. Instead of comparing these two disciplines, let's connect them. Along with John Wellwood, I believe that Western psychological work can serve a sacred purpose in helping us to integrate our spiritual insights into everyday lives. In its ability to shine the light onto the hidden nooks and crannies of our conditioning, psychological inquiry can serve as a powerful ally to spiritual practice. It can help break up the hard, rocky soil of our personality patterns so that it becomes permeable, allowing the seeds of spiritual realization to take root and blossom there more fully. And at the same time, psychological work can incorporate aspects of the spiritual, helping it to establish a larger understanding and aim that conventional psychotherapy, whose focus has always been on pathology and cure rather than transformation. I forget the author's name who wrote an article about 10 years ago, and he said in this article, and it really stuck with me, that there will come a time in human history when the arrival of Buddhism in the West will be seen as one of the greatest events of the 21st century. Robert Brummett sometimes jokes that one of his students said, "My therapist is trying to strengthen my ego, and my spiritual teacher is trying to dissolve it." It's so true, isn't it? And so what I'm experiencing is that these two do not need to be mutually exclusive, and they do not need to be at odds any longer. I think we're arriving at a very pivotal time in history where we are finding ways to bring these two together. And together, they create a very powerful spiritual practice. John Wellwood writes in this article, psychological and spiritual work addresses different levels of human existence. If the domain of spiritual work is emptiness, unconditioned, universal, absolute truth, the domain of psychological work is form, our individual, conditioned ways of experiencing ourselves and the world, or relative truth. Spiritual practice, especially mysticism, points toward a timeless, transhuman reality, while psychological work addresses the evolving human realm with all of its issues of personal meaning and interpersonal relationship. And here is the paragraph that took my breath away. For psychological and spiritual work to be mutually supportive allies in this liberation and embodiment of the human spirit, we need to re-envision both paths for our time, so that psychological work can serve spiritual development, while spiritual work can take into account psychological development. These two traditions would then come together as convergent streams, furthering humanity's evolution towards realizing its true nature as belonging to the universal mystery that surrounds and inhabits all things, and embodying this larger nature as human presence in the world. We are the rainbow bridge, and thus serving as a crucial link between heaven and earth. Thank you.
Let's just take a moment now to embody the teachings before we move into our heart practice meditation. So let's just take a conscious breath together. And our heart practice today is a Tonglen practice. Excuse me. So some people, when we do these heart practices, like to create an outward gesture. Some may make the Anjali Mudra, or you may want to just place one or both hands over your heart. Or you can just place your hands on your lap with your palms up as an outward expression. And begin now by just resting your mind for a moment in a state of openness and stillness. Opening to basic spaciousness and clarity, pure, vast, and empty. And begin a visualization. Work with texture, breathing in feelings of heat, darkness, and heaviness. And breathe out feelings of coolness, brightness, and light. Just a sense of freshness. Breathe in completely, taking in a measure of suffering through all the pores of your body. And as you breathe out completely, radiate positive energy through all the pores of your body in all directions. Do this until your visualization is synchronized with your natural in and out breaths. Now focus on a person who may be struggling. It can be a friend, a loved one, someone on TV, a classmate or coworker, or a difficult person in your life. Breathing in any fear, anger, or delusion, and breathing out peace, compassion, and clarity. Letting your heart transform negativity into gentleness and ease. Now expand your compassion. Make the taking in and sending out bigger. Extend it out to all those who are in the same situation. All those who may be struggling with fear, hatred, or addiction. Breathing in their confusion and breathing out peace and ease that surrounds them. Those who have hurt you or have hurt others, do Tonglen for them, thinking of them as having the same confusion. Breathe in their suffering and send them relief. Those who are cold and hungry, breathe in their suffering and send warmth and ease. Breathing in, I transform negative energy. Breathing out, I share gentleness with the world. Breathing in, I transform darkness. Breathing out, I share light with the world. Breathing in, I transform hatred. Breathing out, I share love with the world. Breathing in, I transform suffering. Breathing out, I share compassion with the world. In the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, meaning not in return for anything that you have received, but so that others who may seek refuge in the Sangha may find it here in this temple. Dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall and on the upper level near the door. Thank you to all of our wonderful volunteers, and thank you to our TBC ambassadors, those who have committed to regular electronic donations. It's not about the amount, it's just that the monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at TBC. If you'd like to become an ambassador, just point your camera at the QR code on the cards and the seat backs in front of you, or you can come by our website at templebuddhacenter.com. Thank you, Victor, for sharing your wisdom with us today. And thank you to each and every one of you for sharing your heart, your practice, and your time with us here today. And we will close our service in just a moment with the bodhicitta dedication, which we will recite together one time. And then after our closing dedication, if you can stick around for just a few minutes, Victor has a few announcements. So the bodhicitta dedication together.
May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta
dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And with our hands together in front of our hearts, let us go forth from this place, entering each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world, namaste.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, everyone. Just a couple updates. The good news is that the water main is expected to be repaired by next Sunday. So next Sunday, we'll be back to business as usual, our hospitality after the service and stuff like that. I think, Michael, are we going to try to have post-service discussion group? So right after the service will be post-service discussion group for all of you joining online. We'll get that up and running for you, too. So that is, as you go out the meditation hall doors, turn to your left, and it's the little room at the end of the hallway there. And so, ooh, I shouldn't have that crumble cookie up there. So the monks are coming. For those of you that might not have known or knew, the Drepung Gomong monks are doing their first North American tour in over 5 years, and they'd like to begin it at Temple Buddhist Center. So starting August 15th actually they'll be here through the 20th, but through the 19th or when you can visit, they'll be here creating on this stage right up here, they'll be creating a giant sand mandala. It's a peace mandala. And so they'll have a little store available. We'll be doing a fire puja, and some other events are starting to form. So just there's a handout on the counter right outside the meditation hall. It's a wonderful thing. They're going to join us on the 20th for chanting too. On the 20th, the Sunday morning, they'll be with us for our service. So it's really an amazing event. We're very honored. Temple Buddhist Center is to be the kickoff for their North American tour. Our Basics of Buddhism class is starting. Kyle is got online registration for that, so please stop by and get registered for that if that's something you're interested in. It is on Zoom only because we've had so many people coming from outside the area, so we're doing it on Zoom. And then the first Sunday, so next Sunday will be first Sunday, and that means at 1 o'clock, our Oneness at One series will be interplay, an opportunity for adults to learn to play. There's Beth is our interplay instructor, and so she'll be helping adults learn to find the joy and the freedom and the liberation of play in a very safe and structured environment. And, there's my little note on the water main. Also, also the parking is actually, they expect to be done with this front area and have moved on to a different section of 47th Street within about 2 to 3 weeks. So we should have full and complete access. So really, basically, in about 2 weeks, hopefully everything will be back to normal for us. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and any volunteer opportunities. I know some folks have been asking about wanting to help out with the monks. And so if that's something you're interested in, sign up on the sheet out front. And please write on there monks so that we can get you. We have lots of volunteer opportunities coming up this fall. So we want to make sure we get you directed to what nourishes you. Don't forget to stop by our online store. Liz did a great job in building that for us, and she's always putting new things in there. And then finally, I will leave this up there for you that you can take a picture with your phone of any activities and stuff coming up. We have wonderful recovery programs. We have Buddhism and 12-step, although I don't know if that's going to meet today at 12. They are? Okay. So at 12:30, Buddhism and 12-step will be meeting. Thursdays at 7, Dave leads Recovery Dharma. And also we have Tuesday mornings, we have Buddha and the Bean, coffee and celebration of awakening in all of its forms. So lots of wonderful opportunities for the Sangha to stay connected, to deepen your practice, or to develop a further understanding of the Dharma or Buddhist practices. So again, thank you everyone so much. I wish you peace, blessings, and an iron bladder. The book thing? Okay, we'll do it. And what happened to your mic?